My fellow travelers, you have Ahabbed your way into the LZ, and thank you so much for stopping by. Yet another surprising event on the No Man's Sky news front. And the man went and did it again. Now, for the uninitiated, or those who are just joining into the No Man's Sky hype, when the creator of the game, Sean Murray, posts an emoji on the Twitters, that means a new content update for the game is inbound. And most likely inbound that same week. Now, there is some contrary to this particular one, because normally when the game starts to go on sale on pretty much every platform, we'll know that it will probably be that week, because with every major content update that the game gets, it goes on sale on every platform. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about, obviously, this is a speculation-heavy video, so for those of you who don't really like speculation, well, this is your warning, but we are going to root today's speculation in reality as much as possible. We're not going to aimlessly speculate or say it could be this or it could be that. What I do want to talk about is what it may be from my perspective and what it most likely is based on history and what we know so far. Firstly, starting at what it may be, obviously this doesn't exactly put it in the category of what it likely is, but the No Man's Sky fan base has sort of jokingly, seriously, maybe been asking for space whales, and it's always been kind of a meme that No Man's Sky should get space whales. Having been a No Man's Sky player since day one, this is not a very attractive idea to me unless it is made very useful, and I don't really have any reason to believe that it wouldn't just be something that would just be out in space and you're like, oh, cool, that's pretty wild, and then you kind of float off into your next little thing, right? If they add space whales, I kind of want it to be significant and have a reason for it and not just be yet another foundational feature that doesn't have the house on top of it. Another thing that it could be is that there's a lot of talk about living freighters. I know that's a big talking point on Twitter. That's actually pretty realistic too. I could see something like that happen. We already have living ships, and they just never got their sort of freighter iteration. Actually, that would kind of be wild, right? The living ships have like a living interior too, so I can only imagine the kind of gross alien-like interior. I would say if they do add living freighters, I would like for them to add living freighters that are derelicts as well. For those of you that were here for, I think it was 2020, when they put out the Desolation update, they put out derelict freighters that you can land on and explore, grab loot from, fight enemies in. Still probably my top two favorite updates out of all the updates the game has gotten so far between that and next. Now, this last one for what it may be might be a Debbie Downer, but it could just be hyping for the future summer update. For the uninitiated, every single year No Man's Sky has gotten a large, significant update for probably around the anniversary time, which is sits at about July, August, somewhere in that region. Maybe September, depending on what's going on, like a global pandemic. Giant updates like Atlas Rises and Next and Beyond were huge updates that sort of culminated around the anniversary time frame. We are heading in that direction too. Every single year has gotten one, and so there is no reason to believe that that is not going to happen this year as well. We do have another platform that the game is launching on this year, the Nintendo Switch. And so we very well may be looking at what the next version of the game might be. We really have to consider that right now, the current version of No Man's Sky is sitting just before version 4.0, and historically we have had whole numbers rounding up to a version 2.0 or 3.0 with the big summer updates. We are, let's just face it, we are like version 8 or 3.89 or something like that. Some folks are speculating that this smaller update will be the 3.90, and then of course the anniversary update will carry us into version 4.0, which feels super likely. But usually when that happens, and let's talk about the last time this happened, was version 3.0, which was the Beyond update, if I remember correctly. There was a pretty long marketing cycle for that one, uncomfortably long as a matter of fact. But it was also true then that the game was launching on another platform. Well, sort of platform. It was launching on the PSVR platform. and the PC equivalents. So with it coming to Switch, this might just be Sean Murray's way of saying, okay, it's time to talk about the summer update that includes the Switch edition and a couple of months worth of a hype cycle getting us into version 4.0. Let me know in the comments about that, but I do want to talk about what this is most likely, just based on, nothing super scientific other than history in my point of view. This could most likely be an aquatic expedition. There's nothing stopping Hello Games from just simply throwing us another expedition or preparing us for another expedition. For those that don't know, this is more of like a MMO type aspect of No Man's Sky, where it has you start a new game save and then you do a set of missions that is super accelerated, and you're doing all of this on the same planet or planets as other players. One of the more engaging aspects of No Man's Sky. It's pretty cool. But an expedition would be pretty sneaky and pretty good to tide us over until the summer update and 4.0 launching probably closer to fall. Another thing that it most likely could be is a water and an ocean expansion. If we are talking about a really hype update, something that the community has been begging for a long time, and actually something that was very much hinted for last year before the Frontiers update, there was a so-called leak on 4chan, absolutely awful site, but a super anonymous place to do that, where we're talking about various features that some kind of insider maybe got a hold of. And the long and the short of it is, those 4chan leaks about No Man's Sky have been historically true for the most part. The most recent leak, middle of last year, talked about an expansion and an improvement of water and oceans. Right now, the water in No Man's Sky is kind of lackluster. It's sort of a flat shader that doesn't look all that great. Would love to see an expansion to swimming, an expansion to fauna, and water that just looks super good with waves and things like that. I know a lot of folks like to talk about rivers, and they like to talk about waterfalls and things like that, which would all be cool too. But to me, that feels most realistic because it's something that has supposedly been in the works. As a matter of fact, it was supposedly, as per this leak, supposed to launch with the Frontiers update. But I imagine since it was, hugely pandemic-bound development and Hello Games were still development from home, even though it was part of the leak, they didn't necessarily have to launch with those features in the Frontiers update. But if I recall correctly, that leak absolutely nailed the settlements aspect that came with the Frontiers update. So take of that what you will, and that's something that's been hinted at and asked for a very long time. Hello Games does a pretty good job of giving the community what they want to a reasonable standard. Love to talk about No Man's Sky again. I might have lighter coverage or pretty much non-existent coverage of this update if it lands this week, as I am journeying across the country and relocating, so I may not have as much time to play it, or the inevitable review of this particular update might be a little bit later. But other than that, let me know in the comment section, what do you think? What's coming up? What's up with the whale emoji? What do you hope it is? What do you think it is? And if this was informational and helpful to your No Man's Sky update experience, please pop a like down below. Love to hear from you, and thanks for stopping by.